Greetings, everyone. I'm Muqtadar Khan. I'm a professor at the University of Delaware. I teach in the Department of Political Science and International Relations. I'm also the academic director at the National Security Institute of the State Department. Today, I'm with Dr. Badrus Sholeh, who teaches at the Syarif Hidayatullah State Islamic University in Jakarta, Indonesia. Welcome to the United States, Dr. Sholeh.
Thank you so much. This is my first time visit US, and I have a very great impression to US as the best, the strongest power on the global world. And my impression to US national security is very strong. It means that before I visit US, then compare with after I visit some places in US, it means that US have not only strong inside the country itself, but also will still very powerful to make regional leadership, and that's we expect from the country with the current President Trump in the position. Yeah, we have been partnership for more than 50 years. I think since Indonesian independence was also supported strongly by U.S. government. The how we war against communism was strongly on the interest of U.S. And within the latest 10 years, I think the contribution of U.S. was very strong in the transition from the new order, Indonesian new order, authoritarian new order to a democratic transition is a very strong. And again, during the Aceh tsunami, I think U.S. leadership among great among industrial countries, and also some from ASEAN, from EU also contribute so much for this democratic transition from the new order to Indonesian democratic, we call it reform period. So that's the aspects of democratization are very strong. We have common interests with US to preserve democracy. Although Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country, but we preserve democracy as a platform, which is also how US preserve democracy and try to support many democratic transition all over the world, like in Indonesia. The Trans-Pacific Partnership is very strategic actually for US, because with TPP, I think US will have stronger role, not only in ASEAN but also in some the member of TPP. But there are still a lot of chance for US to take role after Obama, and there are at least 2 points how President Trump address to strategic topics which is related to Southeast Asia. One is, I think, counterterrorism, which is very relevant to how Trump now really fight against ISIS. And second is economic development, because this region, after 97 financial crisis, I think focus very much how to build economy. And I think Asia Pacific is 65% economic growth compared to other regions, like say crisis in Europe and also before in US. So the stability of economy here, and also the focus of Trump on economic development is also very important. There are some businessmen from Indonesia who know very well to President Trump. I think that's a good chance for our relationship as well. And I think that the counterterrorism will be the closest interest among us.
But some people fear that the United States' refusal to become a party to TPP, a treaty with Japan has already signed and is probably ratified already. in many ways would strengthen China's strategic position in Southeast Asia. In many ways, it could be the trigger or the turning point where China begins to dominate the region at the expense of US and US strategic interests. Do you agree with that viewpoint?
Yeah, yes, without TPP itself, I think China has been very influential in this region. That's why South China Sea dispute is for China is very strong. How China can contain tribunal and also negotiate very deeply to among claimant states in this region. So that's how China very influential in this region, and also to Indonesia as the largest country in Southeast Asia. So I think how transition from Obama to Trump, from which Trump will oppose TPP, will be part of news program for him. I think he will not continue the legacy of Obama in TPP, and also from Hillary too. That's the way that the administration will go. But I still very confident that Trump will make very powerful move in Southeast Asia to make a power balance. I will quote Hillary Clinton and their speech when they visit Indonesia in 2009, Hillary, and then Obama visit 2010. Obama stated that Indonesia will be the next Muslim leader because only Indonesia can combine between modernity, democracy, and Islamism. And we preserve democracy since our early independence period. I think it is because of the culture. The transition from Hinduism, Buddhism, and then to Muslim is in very peaceful way. That's the way how we I'll call it assimilation among culture is very strong here, and also we have among the founder of Indonesian government and founding father of Indonesia, we commit that under state ideology Pancasila, which is we preserve all religions among fair, among respect each other, and we unite into one Indonesian state. And so that's the way how democracy works. Islam in Indonesia, like Islam in other world, is we are comparable to democracy. But in Indonesia, we have in Indonesia we preserve that as important I call it principles, how democracy should be part of the value of Islam and Islamism here. Yeah, because in our democratic system, we believe that under democracy, that terrorism will be able to contain, and also under I call it the moderate Muslim, I think terrorism will not be able to grow very well. That's the two basic thing why Indonesia why a very limited Indonesian jihadists going to Syria to join Syria. But we should remember that there are still thousand Indonesian jihadists inside Indonesia who are not able to go to Syria because of financial. After September 11, they got difficulties to get financial support from Middle East and from Central Asia, and the people who went to Syria and Iraq was mostly financed by individual sponsors from Indonesia. That's why it's very limited too. But again, in our open society, jihadists enjoy very much to grow their organization, to talk in the mosque every Friday, to have a meeting, a weekly meeting, without any interference from military.
So you don't have laws which would laws about inciting people to violence and terrorism?
In our anti-terrorism law, we cannot charge them because of hatred, for example, or because of they spread anti-government, or even they invite people to join ISIS in Indonesia. In 2014, Indonesian ISIS have long march in the main street of Jakarta, even going in front of U.S. Embassy. So you can imagine how democracy have let them grow. You know? We let them grow, but they cannot grow because most people they don't join ISIS. Most people believe that terrorism is not part of Islam. It is against the principle of Islam, and most Indonesian Muslims believe that we can preserve democracy and moderate Islamism, although we are threatened by the rising of radicalism in Indonesia itself. The term leadership here is probably because of not only the number of population from Indonesia is the largest in Southeast Asia. Maybe we are the second largest after India. So after India and China. So that's why that. But we are the second democratic country after India, I think, and also important to note here. We are the founder of ASEAN and ASEAN Summit. We hold, we call it Bali Democratic Forum, which is we try to help the democratic transition among states, including Palestine government, who we invite and we help for capacity building. So we call it leadership, Indonesian leadership, and it is recognized very well by Australia and other big countries in Asia.
Okay.
We're at 15 minutes, so that was just my...
Okay. All right, this is the last question. Professor Sholeh, if you had an opportunity to meet with President Trump and you had a couple of minutes to advise him on what should be the U.S. foreign policy in the region, vis-a-vis Indonesia, Southeast Asia, even countering terrorism globally, what are the recommendations that you would like to make?
Yeah, I would like to make 3 recommendations here. President Trump should be more actively to see Southeast Asia as the closest ally. Yeah. First, because of we also fight against ISIS. We fight against terrorism, and terrorism really suffering us. We had experience with Bali bombing. We did suffer about 1 year tourism and economy in Bali. So we have that interest. We are also suffered by the domination of China in the issue of South China Sea, and in my experience, that it's important, and also many countries in South Asia expect U.S. to involve more in, for example, in Navy training, or military training in the region, and that will make not provoking China, but will make more balance in this region, not dominated too much by Chinese. Yes, on economy, China has a very strong role here, but I think by bilateral relationship, America can be back to be a leader in this part. Yeah.
Well, Professor Badrus Sholeh, it has been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you
much.
all the luck and all the
you so
best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.